Good afternoon, and welcome to another exciting episode of Artifacts with Edie. We had a technical difficulty this morning where we were unable to broadcast to you live at 11:30, so we are broadcasting right now. My name is Edie Steiner, and I am the music therapist with Bridges Learning Center with Akron Public Schools, and I'm also the shepherdess here at the Summit County Historical Society. We'd like to thank you for being with us today. I'm broadcasting live from outside of the historic and beautiful Perkins Stone Mansion in Akron, Ohio. So if you could, in the comments, say hello, tell me that you're tuned in, tell me where you're watching from, that you're here today. We are so thankful that each and every one of you are sharing your day with us, especially Fresia's friends down in Granville, Ohio, at Kendall at Granville, where they just finished a rigorous cardio drumming activity. If you are just checking in, welcome to Artifacts with Edie, a live show and tell of the artifacts from the Summit County Historical Society, where history is always within reach. Be sure to review episodes 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. And stay focused on today's episode for the big test that is tomorrow. Boy, anything can happen here on live TV. Are You Smarter Than a Border Collie? Our live interactive game show will be tomorrow. We are going to play that on a platform called Kahoot.it. It's Kahoot. It'll appear at the bottom of your screen, and you will play that quiz live against one of the working border collies of Mutton Hill. To play along, you're going to need a mobile device or a computer to play along. I will post the game code tomorrow in the comments. I will put it also in the Facebook story of the Summit County Historical Society. That will be there between 11 and 11:30, and we will go live pending no technical difficulties at 11:30 tomorrow morning. I'll also post some directions in the comments about how to play the game in today's episode. So you don't miss your chance to take home the title Smarter Than a Border Collie, or maybe not, because the boys have really been studying this week. So they are studying very hard, and they're very confident that they're going to keep their title. Please tell me in the comments, if you haven't done so already, where are you watching from today? Who are you watching and social distancing with? Hello to our scholars at Bridges Learning Center. Hello to the scholars at Cuyahoga Falls High School. Yesterday, Mary Connolly stopped by. She is one of our Historical Society volunteers. She stopped by to show us how to make a boat climb a hill and shared with us President Garfield's connection to the Ohio and Erie Canal. Today's artifact continues that story and includes one of my favorite things, animals. During the week, you've heard me talk about my dogs, Rudy, Lincoln, Luke, and Owen. Tell us in the comments what pets you have at your house and their names. I'll give them a historically amazing shout out tomorrow if the Border Collies take home the title. The map that you're seeing on your screen now should look familiar from episode 2. My husband and I have enjoyed miles and miles of bike rides on the towpath without even knowing until recently why that long path is next to the canal. Do you and your family enjoy hiking or biking on the towpaths in Summit County? Tell us in the comments which is your favorite stretch. Is it through Summit County, Cuyahoga County, or Stark County? The path that you hike and bike is actually the side of the canal that was used to safely tow the boats. You've already received your first clue at the beginning of the broadcast, and I wonder if anyone caught it. Canal boats were usually towed by 2 or 3 mules. They were towed by 2 or 3 mules. These mules worked in teams together. They worked in tandem to pull the boat down the canal using a tow line, traveling about 3 to 4 miles an hour. This path required the steerman on the boat to constantly turn the wheel to compensate for the sideward pull of the tow line from the mules, as well as the mule skinner on the towpath, otherwise known as the hoagie. Why did the boats travel so slowly? Remember, the canals are made of carefully layered sandstone, Sharon rock formations, and clay. Any speed faster caused damage to the sandstone and the clay banks of the canal. Ohio actually had a canal speed limit of just 6 miles per hour. As a point of reference, a squirrel can run 10 to 12 miles per hour, and they really love to scurry across the towpath. Mules were just as important as people to the success of the canals. Mules that worked the Ohio and Erie Canal were cared for lovingly by the Hoagies that spent their workday walking them. Each boat that traveled down the canal paid a fee. Hoagies were young men who were paid about $20 a month to drive their own tow mules. For our emerging scholars, I have a word problem for you, so listen closely. Hoagies had as many as 6 mules. Mules were walked in teams of 3. How many teams could the Hoagie work in one day? You got it. 2. One team of mules would stay resting on a stall on the boat while the other team worked. This made for some interesting times on the passenger boats where travelers were trying to enjoy their dinners. While you are really on track, scholars, there's something we are leaving out. Mules are prey animals, and canal boats travel at night, which means that mules were vulnerable to predators. I wonder why mules were used on towboats and not horses or donkeys or other animals more adept to holding its own on the towpath. So I called Renee Kwiatkowski of Hidden Assets Farm in Hudsonville, Michigan. She said that mules are more sure-footed than horses and more willing than donkeys. Mules are very aware of their feet and will evaluate a situation for safety. This is why they are often thought to be stubborn. They're actually very, very smart animals and will not do anything just because we told them to do it. Try that excuse at home. Mules have a donkey for a father and a horse for a mother, which means that they inherit the best of both worlds, intelligence and speed. Mules, Renee says, have a very high work ethic and build strong relationships with their trainers. Hoagies walk the towpath all day long, singing, keeping their mules moving forward as they towed the boat behind. It's a good life if you like animals, hard work, and being outside. It was actually one of the best working relationships on the canals. Today's review questions are not as easy as the days before, but I know that you can do it. First, what animal was an important worker on the Ohio and Erie Canal? If you said mule, you are correct. Earlier in the broadcast, we had an interruption that is characteristic of the 1800s on the canal. That was characteristic of the 1800s on the canal and in current times on the Ohio and Erie towpath. What was that interruption? If you answered my really awesome husband, then you are in it to win it. Oh, wait, he's not actually the clue. I'm sorry. Sorry, honey. But something he did is the clue. If you said ride his bike, you're very close, but I'm not giving you the answer that easy. Second, what relationship was important on the canals and why? If you answered the Hoagie and the mule, you are correct. Let's focus on the second part of this question, the why. When you respond to a question of why, you're being asked to give your opinion. So no answer is incorrect. We do not care what you think. We just care that you do think. You are historically amazing to us. Lastly, we learned today that the Hoagie and the mule had a strong and trusting. If you answered relationship, you are right on track. Throughout the week, you have heard stories of patients where the Ohio and Erie locks sandstone was chiseled by hand. active listening where the state of Ohio listened to General Perkins to allow for the canal to be built and dug through what became Akron. Selflessness, where General Perkins and Paul Williams donated their land to build the Ohio and Erie Canal through Akron. And finally, intimacy, where extraordinary young people are left to a song in their hearts and the great outdoors to explore as Hoagies on the Ohio and Erie canals, much like President Garfield. So what do you think today's artifact of the day could be? If you answered a mule bell, you have made Pavlov very proud. This bell is made of steel and is approximately 5 inches tall. Just like a xylophone, the larger the bell is, the deeper the sound. The smaller the bell is, the higher the sound. Bells provide a change in timbre or sound quality from day-to-day life, and our brains are hardwired to understand this. Bells are an excellent early warning system to pedestrians and other folks on the road where horses or horse-drawn vehicles were heading their way. For our students, I would like to challenge you to name 5 different types of bells that are not on my list. Here's my list: church bells, fire alarms, car horns, and phones ringing. During the 19th century, sleigh bells became synonymous with the winter season as horse-drawn sleighs became more popular. For the mules that dedicated their lives to the Hoagies that cared for them, a bell was an early warning signer for predators to stay away, and a warning for boats passing under the dark night sky that their tow lines might become tangled if they aren't careful, or they might become tangled on purpose because they are naughty. See episode 3 if you want to hear more about that. So the next time you are on the towpath, remember the rules of the towpath have been the same since the 1800s. Stay to the right and only the right, and pass on the left but only after making an audible sound. I will see you tomorrow at 11:30 for another episode of Artifacts with Edie, where I show and tell the artifacts of the Summit County Historical Society, where history is always within reach.